Let's move on and talk to Skye in Colorado.
All right.
Skye, you're live with Eric and V. What would you like to talk about?
Hi, thank you for taking my call. I would like to talk about the Emmanuel prayer and my experience with it.
Okay.
And just some background on me. I'm a struggling Christian. This issue, the Emmanuel prayer, and a fear of the rapture is really the only two things that are compelling me to believe in a God at this point. And I kind of wanted y'all's perspective on that and kind of different suggestions to go about it and stuff.
So
absolutely.
Actually, Skye, this week, just because of research I was doing for a video, I watched, what were the Rapture books?
The Left Behind.
Left Behind. I watched Left Behind 1 and 2. And oh man, it is rough. It is really rough. So it's funny because you calling in that's super fresh in my mind. I guess the first thing is anytime you're dealing with something that you're afraid of, it's a whole lot less scary when you give it a face and you give it a name. Right?
Okay.
So the argument that is pushing you right now is it's the argument from the stick. It's the ad baculum argument in Latin. And what that essentially translates to is believe this or I'm going to hurt you. And when you give that a face and a name, it starts to rob power from it. Because ultimately, what you're facing is an ad baculum argument. It's a bully's argument. Yeah. And even if it were true, an ad baculum argument should never be what convinces you. But looking at that fear and understanding that, that fear is still there is important. And I don't want to invalidate the fact that you're experiencing this because you absolutely are. Yeah. And it's something I totally understand. But one of the things that helped me as I was kind of moving through it was recognizing that if I should believe in hell, there should be other reasons too. Because me being afraid of it shouldn't be a good reason for anything. It's the same reason that so many people have a hard time moving away from abusive exes, or manipulative relationships, because that whole idea, you need to follow me because I'm going to hurt you. You're not going to get love from anybody but me, not like me. You're really going to miss out. And, why would you make me hurt you? These are all very, very common lines in abusive relationships. And it's not something that you deserve. Even if you walk out of this still a believer, you deserve better than that.
Yeah. I do. Like, the Left Behind books were my favorite thing growing up, So this is, definitely, something that really hits home for me.
Oh, yeah.
And my mom knows that. Yeah.
And then I know you brought up the Emmanuel prayer, and I wanted to go over this real quick because this is the first time I've heard of the Emmanuel prayer. But I found a kind of like a guide of how to do one. And I want to read it so that I know I'm on the right track while I'm talking about this. So if this is what you are meaning, then definitely let me know. But also if it is, then we want the audience to also kind of know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So can I read you something real quick and you tell me if I'm on the right track?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so it says part 1, opening prayer to bring forward a memory of a time when you felt close to God. Part 2, based on that special quote-unquote God moment, you pray a prayer of appreciation out loud of who the Lord is for you and your appreciation of his character. For example, Lord, you are kind, good, faithful, etc. Part 3, connection directly with the Lord, sensing his presence. He is Emmanuel. He's never left you. He is present and with you. Notice where he is with you in the present. The Holy Spirit reveals Jesus. Part 3 is doing a lot of work. And then part 4,
it's a lot of heavy lifting.
Ask Jesus directly what he wants you to know or what his good plans for healing are for you today. Is that about right? Is that similar to your experience?
Yeah, that's pretty similar. That's pretty similar to what happened. And like, I can go into the specifics. So like, but yeah, that's basically what the thing is.
Okay. Thank you. I wanted to make sure I knew what that was because that's the first time I'd heard of that particular thing. So what I'm seeing from both of these things, right? The Emmanuel prayer and the fear of hell, they are both emotional responses. They are both other people emotionally manipulating a situation. So, and they're doing it on opposite ends of the spectrum, right? On the one end, there's comfort, there's security, there's joy, there's peace. And on the other end of that spectrum, there's fear, there's doubt, there's, guilt, there's suffering. Right. And so you're you're in the middle, kind of getting kind of sidelined by both of these, right? And yeah. I understand, because I was also in this situation, the power that these emotions have in the right situations and with the right kinds of people around you. Everyone is, bought into it. But like Eric said, emotion is not a good reason to believe something. There are evolutionary psychological benefits to that instinct. I feel unsafe, therefore I am going to react as though I am. Or I feel secure, therefore I'm going to let my autonomic nervous system kind of take over and calm down and rest and digest, right? So there is a real reason why we feel like emotion directly relates to reality. But often, especially in religious circles, they have found a way to hijack that instinct and prove things to you about reality using something that is not based in reality, which is your emotional response. So I understand how impressive both of these things are, how much they impact you, because they did for me too. But if you are almost out, and these are the last things that are hanging on, it makes sense, right? It makes sense these are the last things that are hanging on, because they are powerful, directed, manipulative, emotional responses that you have been programmed to respond to. So take as much time as you need to dive into those. I'd say go to a secular therapist. That would be an amazing way to kind of start that process. But also be gentle with yourself. Just because you are afraid of something doesn't mean you have to believe in it. Just because something gives you a lot of pleasure or a lot of security doesn't mean that you have to believe in it. Two things can be true at once. You can still feel pleasure or safety saying an Emmanuel prayer and not believe in it because your emotional response has not caught up to your rational brain. So just because you still feel these feelings doesn't mean you believe. That's not necessarily the same thing.
No. In fact, there are lots of atheists who reach out and send emails saying, hey, I'm still dealing with the fear of hell because it's so deeply ingrained in me and it was so strongly forced on me as a kid that I'm still dealing with it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely what I've seen for myself is just like, I know they're not good reasons for still having a faith or like, and I've talked myself out of like all of the logical, non-emotional responses to stuff. But I'm extremely close with my mom. And she knows that I've been struggling with these kind of things for quite a while now. But I know she was going to exploit it, for lack of a better word. Come forward or raise any more questions, or because I have been raising questions, if I just suddenly shut up, it's going to be brought up. So
you know what's interesting?
You guys have any?
Yeah, I would love to just point out that even the language you're using is very, very steeped in that belief system. If I'm excited and want to learn about biology, am I struggling with biology? If I have questions about history, am I having a crisis of history? And yet, when you want to ask questions about your faith, it's a crisis. When you're questioning your religion, you're struggling with it. It's couched in this negative way, but if you wanted to know more about literally anything else, It should be welcomed and embraced. And oh my gosh, maybe this should be what you want to do with your life. And hey, this would be a great thing to study. Or oh my gosh, I found a group and I want to learn about it. Or I'm going to take a class on it. That's amazing. Oh wait, you want to learn about your religion? No, you're having a crisis. We should sit down. That's the crises are the things that we have, interventions on. Crises are the things that, well, you must be addicted to something. What's wrong with you? That's just not the case with anything else. Isn't that kind of silly on its face? You're not having a crisis. You're not having, you're not struggling. No. Struggling would be, I don't understand this thing and I'm having trouble understanding. That might be struggling, sure, but wanting to learn more and wanting to conceptualize those things, if anything, if what you believe, if being a Christian is if that belief is true, that just makes you a more informed Christian, wouldn't it?
That's the theory that I walked into this with. And
sure.
That's not where I'm at now, but yeah.
True. And if your mom decided to dive in and try and impress upon you that there's something wrong with you, I really hope that you can hold on to the fact that wanting to know a thing or wanting to learn about a thing does not constitute a crisis and does not mean that it is a struggle or that there is something wrong with you. That it's so important, and it's such a good crowbar in there that can help you sink in and go, you know what? No, hold on a second, whether I believe or not, that's a fucked up thing to do. No, stop. I mean, ultimately, if you want to have that conversation with your mother, if you said she knows that you've been struggling with this, yeah. So I'll use the language so that we can move forward. If you wanted to have other conversations with her, it sounds like she knows that you're thinking about this. It wouldn't take her by surprise.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, when I actually stopped believing, I called my birth mom and I just in tears, Mom, I know you didn't know. I don't believe you still love me. And she's like, Eric, really? I mean, I knew. We've had lots of conversations leading up to this point. This is not the first time I've interacted with you. So, I mean, I don't know your mom, but
yeah,
she definitely does not deserve that degree of power over you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I know she does, and I know she's if I was to continue, in her eyes, I guess, because I guess I'm already here, but become an atheist or just stop believing in God, not only would she disown me more or less. I'm the oldest sibling, and all my siblings live at home, and she would cut off contact with them. So I'm trying to figure out a way to very, very slowly make this a reality, so I don't have to deal with that.
Yeah, that's. I hate it when parents use siblings as that playing card.
Yeah,
it's so shitty. It's a shitty thing to do.
You're talking to two oldest siblings.
Yeah, we feel that. My question then becomes, and this could be something, Skye, that you think about for a little bit and maybe call back with, is at this point it becomes about you and what is most effectual for you, what will benefit you the most. Is sticking around and maybe swallowing this need to come out and being able to interact with your siblings going to make you more happy? Or are you going to struggle with that? Is that going to be emotionally and mentally detrimental to you? And is it a better trade-off to be able to be out in who you are and deal with the consequences? I think this is kind of a lose-lose situation. Unfortunately, as it often is, you are certainly not the only one to have to go through this. But it becomes, okay, either way, I'm going to struggle with something. I'm either going to struggle with having to put on this facade and pretend like I'm convinced, or at least not bring up the fact that I'm an atheist, or I'm going to have to deal with the fallout of that happening.
Yeah.
And at this point, it becomes what is best for you and what are you equipped to deal with most effectively.
And
Yeah.
I'm going to tie in just a little bit, but I want to give you a chance to respond to V.
Oh, yeah, this is definitely, like, when I called in today, I was more like trying to be like, how do I need to dismantle these? And like by the end of this call, I'm kind of like, well, I don't need to. I'm already there.
Yeah.
Now, how do I move forward? And I really just like appreciate you guys going through that whole journey with me. I know it's not exactly what I called in for to begin with.
That's okay.
I love that. That is beautiful.
Yeah. And ultimately, your mom needs to own her shit. And shielding her from her own bullshit. I'm sorry, your mom might be wonderful in other ways, but the idea of blackmailing you into subservience or into, lying to your siblings because she would take that away from you, that is hers to own.
Yeah.
And if that is a tool of manipulation. And if you call that out, and say, hey, it sounds like you don't want to have a relationship with me unless you're manipulating me and using my siblings against me. That's not the kind of relationship I want to be in. Mom, I know you're better than this. That's cruel. To walk, if you need to step and go, hey, you know what, you need some time to think about this because Skye, you deserve better than that. Everybody deserves better than that. Nobody deserves to be manipulated. Nobody deserves to be abused.
Yeah.
She needs to own that. There are so many atheists who've called in who've been like, well, I really, really don't want to, upset my family. And, you get into talking to them and they're like, oh, but every time we get together, they attack me because I'm not a Christian. No, saying, hey, I'm not going to come over on Christmas because every time I come, you turn it into a shouting match where you make me feel like shit. They get to own that because they're the ones doing it.
Yeah, it's their problem. They have to figure it out for themselves. It's not on me.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't do that for I hope you wouldn't want to do that for a romantic interest, right? Every time they get home, they want to yell at you about work until, they feel better. No. No. Deal with your shit. I'll be like, no.
Yeah. And I think the last thing that we'll leave you with, because honestly, I loved this call. The fact that we got from a place of, hey, I'm struggling with belief to, hey, how do I come out about my lack of belief is beautiful and amazing.
Yes.
I'm going to take that with me all day.
Yeah.
There is no timeline here, right? You can hold your mom accountable for her shit whenever that happens. You can come out as an atheist or whatever version of that worldview you want to espouse whenever you find that to be useful for you. This isn't a thing where you're not really not a Christian until you say, or you're letting your mom get away with stuff and that's bad and your fault. This isn't anything that you need to feel pressure about.
No.
These are options for you to take advantage of when you feel that is appropriate.
Agreed.
And this is on your timeline. So right now, honestly, I would almost say you came to an amazing conclusion on this call. Sit with it a while.
Yeah, watch this episode.
Yeah, think about it. This can take a couple months of you actually settling in this space and feeling secure in it and allowing yourself to grow in this space, so that when you do eventually come out to your mom or to your siblings or to whoever, you have that grounding, that strength in you already. You have some research done. You have your justifications. You have that knowledge. So then you don't get slapped around, right? And you can say, no, actually, this, and this. This is what I was thinking about. And then, I think maybe taking this call and ruminating on it a little bit, let it sit in your heart, for lack of a better term. And just be kind to yourself for a while.
Yeah.
And then you can call back and we can think about next steps.
And we would love that call back. And just to add in one last thing. In the live chat, 147 people are sending you love rings.
Aww.
If you've watched the show before, a good friend of the show, Kamal, and our crew is sending you love rings right now when you watch the video. Our crew, our friend of the show, Kamal, is reminding everyone that you make your family. And you choose your family too. So no matter what the case is, you're never going to be without family because you have that power. We're sending you love rings too. We hope you do okay.
Oh, thank you guys so much. This has been really helpful for me and really cathartic, and it's going to be emotional for me for the next little while. So thank you.
That's good.
Sit with it. You're good.
Yeah.
Thanks for calling in, Skye.
Bye, Skye.
Bye.
Yeah.
It was nice. Before
We wade through Father John so we can get to Skye. That's honestly.
That's beautiful. I love it. Well, then, don't get me wrong. I'll take Father John.
Father John's fun.
But that's definitely
why
doesn't
we're
give you
here.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's another reason why we're here, and that's because we're being supported. We actually have people who are
smooth segue.
right.
Nice.
Well, I mean, this takes a lot, right? There's a green screen, there's lights, there's a camera, there's a huge crew that's putting in a ton of effort.
Don't tell them we're not actually in an autumn field.
Oh, right.
This isn't a green screen. We're really on site.
Oh, yeah. Maybe there are demons behind us in the field if we'd look. Anyway.
Man.
And we're all volunteering. V's volunteering. I'm volunteering. Our crew's volunteering. None of us are getting paid a penny for this. And it's your support that keeps us going. If you want to support us, consider going to patreon.com/Talk Heathen to me, and you could become one of our top 5 patrons. I have loaded our top 5 patrons. Our top 5 patrons this week are Eric Tweet, Desert Heathen, Bethany P,
Bethany B,
Jay Friedman, and Ward Knipling. Blomstonky's not there anymore.
That's right next to you.
But look,
It's right there.
they're not tied.
Oh, they're not tied anymore. But I still have a soft place in my heart for that beautiful punk rock duo, Balance Donkey and Dingleberry Jackson.
Absolutely. And for all of you, thank you so much for your support. We sincerely appreciate it. It allows us to keep doing this, and we love it. We get to talk to Skye. It was fantastic.